Are you ready to learn to get rid of stress in your life? To learn how to deal with the emotional turmoil that causes strokes, heart attacks, bad health, and even weight gain? Life-changing habits for work, family, and everyone you deal with start here with Andrew Wittman. It's time to get warrior tough. Here's Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman.
All right. Welcome to Get Warrior Tough, the most monumental hour in media anywhere. We're your friendly leadership and mental toughness coaches, Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman.
What's happening, people?
I'd
Good
like
to
to
be
say
here tonight.
Yeah, I like to say friendly because I'm trying to set the tone right tonight because I'm trying not to be cranked up, Dutch. You know why? Because I'm coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. What up?
Hey, I tell you, I don't. There's something I don't like in the name of that city, Las Vegas. That's what they call it, Las Vegas. Like you're gonna go there and you get nothing but a bunch of losses.
Listen, it's always rigged for the house. I'm just saying. I asked Kwok if he wanted me to place him anything out here. He said it was tempting. I said before I had watched his show or listened to his show, I thought over-under was like a style of softball pitch. I didn't know it had anything to do with betting or Vegas. Over-under. I thought, what is he talking about, man? So I got an education listening to Out of Bounds on WCCP. Yeah, it's just, it's early. So like you said, Dutch, I'm in the past and you're in the future right now.
I know, right? I can tell you everything that's happening. Pretty soon, I mean, you hadn't reached there yet, but pretty soon it's going to be 9 o'clock out there. So just giving you a heads up.
Yeah, I got a ways to go, man. It's like it's still early. So it's all good, man. Hey, if you all want to get in on the conversation with us, use the hashtag #GetWarriorTough on Twitter. Dutch is at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. You could call the show. You could call us live right now with any questions that you have at 855-856-1380. That's 855-856-1380. We have a couple questions that were, queued up for us over the this past week. Folks that asked questions that they wanted answers to. But if you have one that's just burning, in your brain right now and you need an answer, call Dutch and I and we'll get it to you. Dutch, we got a couple of things lined up pretty cool here tonight that they're interesting to me because it seems like they're common wherever we go. Like these questions that we get, it's like they're not like only one person deals with it, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. They're probably some of the more common questions that we hear or receive, whether it's email, conversation, when we're doing events. These are going to be some of your more popular questions.
Yeah, and and I say this when we're doing training, that there's no thing that is uncommon to all mankind. If you're a human, welcome to planet Earth. We all have to deal with the same stuff, right? And it seems like, well, their problems are different than my problem. No, we all have the same problems. They're all like we don't have control of ourselves internally. We don't have control of our responses instead of reactions. And it's that Captain Jack Sparrow, right? Your problem is not the problem. Your problem is your response to the problem or your attitude to the problem, right? And so that I find that it's really, if you could get control of yourself, that's why the whole thing is CEO of you. You get control of your responses, the rest takes care of itself. And we use that formula in our training, Dutch. We give it out, right? And here's a little taste of what we do in our corporate training. E plus R equals O. External factors plus your response equals your outcome. And you have no control over external factors. The only thing that you could change to get a different outcome is your response. Most people keep doing the same stuff, keep reacting over and over again, then wonder why they don't get a different response. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result, what do we call that, Dutch?
Insanity.
Insanity. And I'm not talking about that Sean T. kind from Beachbody. We're talking about, that's just not in touch with reality.
You need to hit that E plus R equals O one more time. That is to give the people a chance to write that down. That's some life-saving stuff there.
Yeah, it's really important. That's our formula for becoming a first responder instead of a first reactor. So E plus R equals O. The external events, external factors, right, or the environment, any of those E's will plug in there, but it's external factors plus your response, not your reaction. Your response equals outcome. Now, if you just have a reaction, you're going to get a junky outcome. But if you change from a first reactor into a first responder and you change your response when an external event happens, you could change the outcome that happens to you. And I'm going to say that 90% of the deal, Dutch, is your response. 90% of the deal is your response.
And that's a game changer. I mean, that bit of information alone, you can take with you tonight, and you can change your life a little bit. Just from that, you can get a shift in your daily interactions just with that one formula there. If you think about the things that happened to you, whether it was today or yesterday or last week, if you would have deployed that formula, E plus R equals O, how would it have changed what you had to deal with? How would it have changed your outcome? How would it have changed the people around you in their response after you employed or deployed that formula? How would it have impacted it? Go back and think about it. The external plus your response equals outcome. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and it works. It's very simple. You can remember it in real life, real time. And it helps if you can remember that formula, but before you start to react to something, remember, we give ourselves that 2 minutes of cognitive space, and then remember, how would I do it? Like, so how would I change my response, right? That gives you the cognitive space to run the formula. And then say, well, here's what my logical response is, because I want to separate logic from emotion, right? I don't want to make an emotional decision. I want to make a logical, well-reasoned decision in my response. And I just saw a study that came out today, Dutch, that this is a big deal about empathy and how being empathetic towards other people will make you happier. Duh, we needed a study for that, right? But with the empathy, right? Well, what when we talk about the 5 levels of listeners when we do the People Whisperer course, right? And the highest level, the magical place to be as a listener is the empathetic listener, right? Where you just give pure, unadulterated acceptance to the person that's talking. And I did this this week. A guy called me. It was actually a CEO called me. And I just listened to him for like an hour and 10 minutes until I had another call. I had to go. And it's an amazing, right? And then he said this at the end, man, I've really enjoyed, conversing with you. You're a great conversationalist. And I really didn't say anything, right? But not only did his happiness level go up, but mine did too, because now when you become an empathetic listener, you see it from their point of view. Here's the point. It helps me to be a first responder and not just have an emotional reaction of my own. But if I could see it from how they're saying it, kind of feel how they're feeling it, listen to what they're saying before I come up with a reaction and slow the game down, then I can change my response, which will give us a better outcome. Because guess what, Dutch? Most everything that we do on the planet deals with every decision that we make, every interaction that we have, and all of our outcomes all hinge on other people. There's people involved.
It's interesting. You revealed the empathetic listener to the people out there, and I guarantee you. Now we know the different levels of listening that are more popular and that people out there have heard about. And I'll just go over it real quickly. You got your pretend listener. Everyone's heard. Everyone knows that. A lot of people are that. Selective. If you're married, you've heard that one before.
My dad was great at selective hearing, man. Dad, if you're listening, I know you're not really listening. So I'm just saying, unless I said the word like pregnant. Right? My kid brother and I, we had this little bunny when we were kids. We're like, hey, the bunny's going to have babies. My dad's like, who's pregnant? And I was like, hey, go back to watching The Untouchables or Streets of San Francisco, Dad. It'll be all right.
Absolutely. So we've all heard that. Now you have an active listener. Now we all want to at least think we're at least on the level of active listener. This is where people want to at least, okay, I'm not a selective listener. I'm not a pretend listener. People will admit to going down to active, right? So I'm at least listening. Then you go to interactive, right?
Right. That's kind of our default mode. Because the active listener, really what the active listener is doing is they're waiting for you to take a breath so they're thinking about what they're going to say in response to you or whatever. So they're waiting for you to take a breath so they can jump in.
And that's the most people will admit to being out of the so-called quote unquote negative ones. That's right. The most they'll admit to being. So then when you have interactive, this is where it stops really. This is to me the knowledge where the knowledge of the level of listening ends right here. Interactive, because people think when they're interactive listeners that they're at the top of the charts, that they're great, that they're exactly where they need to be. It gets no higher than this. And this is the average person thinking that this is the creme de la creme, right?
Right, but there's really no magic.
But what you revealed, right. But what you revealed is there's another level. That's what you just revealed. There's another level, And that's where we go into the elite warrior again, the empathetic listener.
Right.
But the average person, if you have a conversation with them, they'll think interactive is the top of the line, that's the best thing you can be, that's the best thing you can do when in a conversation with another person is being an interactive listener.
Right.
So think about that for a second. So you just revealed there's another level that we can be at. And while we even struggle just to get to interactive, if you want to be great, there's even another level that we can take you to. So just something for the people out there to think about.
It is, and that's where magic happens, and that's where, and I say, this when we're doing our corporate training, because when we really break down, you gave them the breakdown, but we walk people down the path of how to do these things. There's an actual process, because that's what we do, right? Get Warrior Tough. It's all about a process. We line it all up. It's duplicatable, but you could literally get the most difficult person to do whatever it is that you want them to do.
Absolutely. And not only do we reveal the levels of listening, but it's the how and the why that these exist. So we're telling you why we do them, the science behind it. We're telling you how we do them. And we tell you also how not to do them and how to go to the next level and to go to the highest level,
and,
which Andrew revealed earlier.
Right.
Empathetic.
And when to do it.
Yes.
And when not to do it. Because you can't be an empath. You can't live your life as an empathetic listener, right? Because people suck the life out of you.
Absolutely.
Right. So no, really. I mean, if I'm always only just seeing it from how you see it, and I just feel how you feel it, and I box up my agenda and I put it on the back burner, then I'm just like a doormat, right? So,
but the ability to be an empathetic listener is just a part of the one of the tools in the toolbox. Because what you do with that is that for that moment, it just gives you it gives them what they need.
Right.
And then you take what you just got from that and it becomes a part of what you need to respond. So it doesn't make you any weaker or any less from your, but what it's doing is giving you what you need from them. You need that unadulterated information that they're giving you, and you need to be listening and absorbing everything that they're giving you. And then you take that and then you do what you need to do with that information. So it doesn't mean that you agree with everything you're saying, but it does help you open yourself up to understanding what they're saying. And that still doesn't mean you agree with what they're saying, but you have a better ability to understand what they're saying or where they're coming from. So then your response in turn is going to be that much better.
Right. And what their truths are. Right. So they're probably not, and this is part of being an empathetic listener. You listen to what is said and what is not said. And usually what people don't say are facts. They usually say truths. And so what it does is a empathetic listener teaches us, and we're getting really too deep into this, but it teaches us how to speak to other people in their truths, which totally takes out any venom of any conversation. It takes out the vindictiveness. It takes out any of the drama or the tension. When I listen to what their truths are, and then I speak to them in the language of their truths while I'm presenting my side. But I have to empathetically understand their truth first. And then I become a process. Yeah, it is a process.
There's a process to do that. Just saying you're doing that is not enough. You down that path. We teach you how to do it. So just knowing it and just reading it on a piece of paper is not nearly enough, and you end up hurting yourself if you try and do that, and you don't know when to deploy it. When is the best time to practice it? When you can get all messed up and end up in a worse position than where you started.
Right. So this is really advanced stuff, but but it's important. It really is important. And again, that scientific study came out, or the empirical data came out today about being empathetic and how it could help you in your career, it'll help you in your relationships, and of course it does. It's a no-brainer. Hey, listen, Dutch, we're up against a break, so when we get back, we got some of these questions we're going to go over that came in this week. Hey, y'all, we're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman.